Imagine being rich enough to buy anything you want, and then handing your credit card to your maid, telling her, "Go on, get yourself something nice." But instead of luxury bags or jewelry, she comes back with something so unexpected, it nearly breaks your heart. Today's story isn't about money, it's about what money reveals. We're about to dive into the life of a millionaire who thought a simple gesture would bring a smile. But instead, it opened his eyes to a truth he never saw coming. By the end of this video, you'll understand why sometimes the quietest choices speak the loudest. Richard was the kind of man people envied. His house wasn't just big, it was the kind you see in glossy magazines. Polished marble floors, walls lined with artwork he barely remembered buying, and a garage with more cars than he could ever drive. He had chefs, assistants, gardeners, and of course a maid named Anna. Anna had been with him for almost 2 years. She was quiet, precise, and professional. She came in early, kept the house spotless, and left late. To Richard, she was reliable, but invisible, like the furniture polished to a shine. He never asked about her life. He never wondered why her eyes sometimes looked tired. For him, she was just part of the service that kept his world comfortable. One afternoon, Richard had just ended a call with his financial advisor. They'd been laughing about a deal that made him more money in 1 week than Anna could make in 10 years. He poured himself a glass of wine, glanced at Anna folding laundry in the corner, and for some reason decided to do something nice. "Hey, Anna," he said casually, pulling out his sleek black credit card. "Take this. Go buy yourself something. Anything you want. No limits." Anna froze. "Sir, I can't." Richard waved his hand. "Nonsense. You've worked hard. Go enjoy yourself." He expected excitement. He expected her to light up, maybe even cry with gratitude. He imagined her buying perfume, clothes, maybe even the latest phone. Something that showed she was thrilled to be given a taste of his world. But Anna just nodded quietly, took the card with both hands, and said softly, "Thank you, sir. I'll be back soon." She left. Richard went back to his emails, amused at the thought of what she might choose. He pictured her wandering around luxury shops, marveling at things she'd never afford otherwise. He even thought this little experiment might be entertaining, way to see what ordinary people valued most. An hour later, Anna returned. Richard looked up, expecting to see glossy shopping bags dangling from her arms. But instead, she held a single small plastic bag from a discount store. Richard frowned. "That's it?" Anna nodded. She placed the bag on the counter and pulled out its contents. A pack of diapers. Baby formula, bread, rice, and milk. Richard stared. "Out of all the things you could have bought, you chose this?" Anna's eyes dropped to the floor. "My sister passed away last year," she said quietly. "She left behind her baby. I take care of her now. The baby needed formula more than I needed anything else." The silence that followed was heavy. Richard's hand, still holding his wine glass, felt suddenly ridiculous. He looked at the diapers, the formula, so ordinary, so cheap compared to what his card could buy. But to Anna, they were priceless. For the first time, Richard saw her differently. Not as a maid, but as a woman carrying the weight of grief. Responsibility and love he had never known. That night, Richard couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Anna's words, about the baby who would grow up without a mother, about how Anna worked long hours cleaning someone else's house, only to go home and rock a baby to sleep in a small apartment. He thought about his own life, his empty mansion, his silent dinners, his loneliness hidden behind piles of money. What did he have that truly mattered? Watches he never wore, cars he rarely drove, wine that went stale and half-empty bottles. Meanwhile, Anna, with almost nothing, had love that stretched beyond her own needs. The next day, Richard noticed things he had ignored before. How Anna's shoes were worn thin, how she packed a small lunch that barely looked enough for one person. How her hands were cracked from constant scrubbing, and yet she never complained. She never asked for more. She just worked quietly, then went home to care for a baby who depended on her. Richard started asking questions. "How old is the baby now?" 7 months, Anna answered, almost shy. "Do you have help?" She shook her head. "No, sir, just me." Her honesty cut him deeper than he expected. For days, Richard wrestled with feelings he didn't recognize. Guilt. Shame, but also admiration. He thought about how he had spent thousands on meaningless luxuries while Anna counted every coin to make sure a baby had milk. The irony was brutal. Money, which he thought gave him power, suddenly looked meaningless compared to Anna's quiet sacrifice. A week later, Richard called Anna into the kitchen. She walked in nervously, wiping her hands on her apron. On the counter lay a folder. Richard slid it toward her. "Open it," he said. Inside, Anna found daycare enrollment papers, medical insurance for the baby, and a bank account in the baby's name with more money than Anna could ever dream of. Her hands trembled. "Sir, what is this?" Richard took a deep breath. "That day when you bought diapers with my card, you taught me something. You showed me what real wealth looks like. It's not this house. It's not my cars. It's love, responsibility, sacrifice. From now on, you're not just my employee. You're family. And I'll make sure that baby grows up with every chance in life." Anna's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, the walls between them dissolved. She wasn't just the maid, and he wasn't just the boss. They were two people whose lives had collided in a way neither could have predicted. From then on, things changed. Richard visited the baby, bringing toys and clothes. He laughed more. The house, once cold and silent, began to feel alive. Anna, though still working, no longer carried her burdens alone. And Richard? He found something his millions had never given him: purpose. The moment Anna bought diapers instead of diamonds, she held up a mirror Richard couldn't ignore. In her small act of sacrifice, he saw everything he lacked: meaning, connection, and heart. That single choice shook him more than any business loss ever could. This isn't really a story about money. It's a story about what money reveals. Given the chance to take anything, Anna chose responsibility over luxury, love over indulgence. And in doing so, she changed a millionaire's heart forever. We often think it's the grand gestures that matter. But sometimes, it's the quiet choices, the unseen sacrifices that speak the loudest. Richard gave Anna his card. But Anna gave Richard something far more valuable: perspective. If this story touched you, don't miss the next video on your screen. It's one you'll remember long after you watch it.